Thank you, and thank you, Mr. Ketchum, for your testimony. And I'd like you to comment on this article that was in the Financial Times earlier today, and it said that U.S. banks push for a delay in reporting corporate bond trades. And apparently they are saying that there's a lack of liquidity in the bond market, and that if you delayed your 15-minute requirement of reporting trades to the TRACE system, that it would help the liquidity problem. So I'd like you to comment on this proposal and on whether or not you believe there's a lack of liquidity in the corporate bond market or municipal bond market, and do you think that a delay in the reporting time for large corporate bond trades would improve liquidity?
Well, we are reaching out to the industry. It's an excellent question, Ranking Member Maloney, and we regularly have conversations over the impact of TRACE reporting. As you know, there have been dramatic changes with respect to the fixed income market in recent years, many of them coming the reaction of the failures and market impact coming out of the credit crisis. That's led to much higher capital requirements, the Volcker Rule that limits the ability for proprietary trading with respect to bank holding companies, range of other issues that have all had significant impact from the standpoint of the liquidity of the fixed income market. So most of the comments we have heard focus on the least actively traded issues. We are going to do, I think this should be analyzed from a matter of data, and we are going to do additional analytical work to look at whether there has been a measurable change in liquidity with respect to those type of issues, and consider very closely several of the suggestions, most of which focus on the timing with regard to the reporting of larger trades. I'll note the other side, though, and I know you are very familiar with this, which is TRACE has resulted in a dramatic reduction in spreads that, for the standpoint of the fundamental retail investor or those of us who invest indirectly through mutual funds, has dramatically reduced the cost of trading in the fixed income market. That's not something we should want to lose any more than the transparency TRACE provides to allow you to evaluate the quality of the executions you receive. But we take liquidity concerns seriously, and we will do both statistical analyses and reach out more to the industry.
Thank you. I'd also like to ask about the report that FINRA and the SEC recently published on the treatment of investors who are senior citizens. And in that report, you found that some brokers are still making investment recommendations that are totally inappropriate for seniors. And as you know, we've had such a low interest rate return since 2008. And while I believe that this monetary stimulus has been necessary to lift the economy out of our deep recession, low interest rates mean low yields, and that has hurt the savings account and conservative investments of our seniors, and they usually relied on it. So my question is, do you think that this extended low interest rate environment is the main reason why broker-dealers have been recommending riskier and possibly unsuitable securities to our senior centers, in our senior centers and our senior citizens?
It's an excellent question.
Senior investors.
I think it has been a contributing factor for exactly the reasons you so eloquently put out. Senior investors particularly are often dependent on a fixed income and very dependent on their investments, have been dramatically impacted with regard to low yields. And the temptation to reach for higher yields with respect to a range of complex or less liquid investments is very real. And the temptation of the industry to sell them even when they are not suitable is something that we have a great concern of, and we have certainly seen instances. I would emphasize, generally speaking, the industry is very careful from that standpoint and has worked, I think, considerably harder from the standpoint of the quality of controls and disclosure they use. But the concerns are real, the abuses have happened, and our focus is very much on senior investors. And indeed, we just, with Susan Axelrod, who is sitting right behind me, her leadership opened up a senior helpline to try to give seniors the opportunity to have a place to go to ask questions, whether about their accounts or otherwise. So the concerns you raise are very real.
Thank you.